Welcome everybody to the Tea with Ms McGill Show, presented by our new merch. Look at this stuff. Is this stuff beautiful or what? Look at the hoodies. Look at those arms. Oh, presented by Reed's Arms. But it is the Tea with Ms McGill Show, and we are presented by our friends over at Fortune Bay Resort and Casino. Make plans today. Remember, we've got the long Martin Luther King holiday weekend coming up here, so make plans today to visit Fortune Bay Resort and Casino on beautiful Lake Vermilion. Of course, they have 172 rooms and a smoke-free environment, indoor pool, RV park, world-class golf, several dining options, bar, and of course, 24/7 gaming. I see they got Wednesday night blackjack going on, so if you're interested in blackjack, get up there, visit fortunebay.com for more details and plan your trip today. Hit the like button right now, episode 75. We're officially 8 weeks into the high school hockey season.
We're that far in?
We're in solid 2 months.
I feel like it's still November. Well, no, I don't. We got a little snow last week.
Yes, feeling like we're,
So,
speaking of that, if you're a snowmobiler, get up to Fortune Bay. You know, we got, because I talked to someone in Bemidji, they said, we got a couple inches. I can see the grass in the ditch. I talked to somebody in the South Shore of Wisconsin, like Ashland area, that said, we don't really have anything, but we've got, I mean, I wouldn't go out on a snowmobile with only 6 inches, but you hardcores, get up to Fortune Bay Resort and Casino because we got snow.
Yeah, good for you if you got a snowmobile and you like to get to do, that's not my thing, but there it definitely is a pastime here for northern Minnesota people. So enjoy it while you got it, because who knows how much snow we're gonna get this year.
Yeah.
Maybe it's coming. Maybe we're gonna get more.
Look at last year. I mean, February, March, even April, it was still snowing. So I think I was telling you, I got some pictures of the kids May and there's snow all over on the ground. So, so right now, spring coaches are pretty happy. You know, the fields will be ready, the track will be ready, all that good stuff, the courts, but
Let's check March 1st.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. It's to be continued. So thanks for tuning in. Just a couple things, couple ways to support us, that are absolutely free and pretty easy to do. If you can right now, you can share the show, which is obviously easy. So that's absolutely free, and we'd appreciate that. And also, if you're an Apple podcaster, a Spotify, or a Facebooker, you could leave a review for us. Like I said, absolutely free. Really helps us out, and we appreciate that. All right, quite a few subs this week. Got quite a few. We had a big week. So, so some subscribers that joined us this week: Andrew Ombig, Mitchie Kellen, one of my favorites, Billings Bull. Adam Pokey Van, Poke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Melodin, Wade West, Chad Daniels, friend of yours, the goalie, plays for the Warriors. I actually played some hockey with Chad last week. And Nikki Barton. So we continue to move towards 800 subscribers. So be just like them, join America's fastest growing hockey podcast and subscribe.
No, there's at least 4 or 5 names there that you just rattled off that I know quite well.
Yeah. Wade West.
So, Mitch Kellen. Andy
well,
Onvig. I know them all.
Yeah. Got to talk to Mitchie at the Wayzata game the other day. So like I said, be just like them. Hit the like, subscribe button. And like I said, we're on the drive towards 800 subs between all the different platforms. All right, so we'll get started as we always do with the game of the week. Brought to you by the Ring Sports Bar and Grill. Our buddy Walleye Scott is going walleye fishing up and on Cap Togama on Thursday or Friday. Gives me a call. He says, Roger, I'm just rolling past. He is on Highway 53, rolling past the Ring Sports Bar and Grill. So I hope you stopped there or did stop there maybe on the way home. Walleye. I was there Friday, had my favorite, the bison burger with a side of baked asparagus. Excellent. Appreciate it, Michelle. So give Michelle a call, 248-8582, or you can order online at theringsportsbarandgrill.com. And of course, remember for that function or upcoming hockey banquets, they have the breakout rooms there in Eveleth. So just on for the Hockey Hall of Fame, the Ring Sports Bar and Grill in Eveleth. All right, so one of the most exciting games I've been to in recent history, high school hockey games. Last Thursday night, we previewed this one, big 7AA section matchup here at Yanmar Arena. Rapids Duluth East. And with a smile, we can say Rapids pulled out the victory.
Yeah, I mean, we were smiling at the end of the game, but going into the third period, it was tough to find a smile. But you know what? It was the Thunderhawks were down 3-1 going into that period and struggling a little bit to find the back of the net. Am I right? 3-1. Is that what the score was going into the third? I think
it was 3-0.
Was it 3-0?
I think it was nothing. Yeah, I think it was 3.
We may have
3-1, or maybe did you have one?
I'm gonna have to look it up. Okay. We were down.
Yeah, you were down
by if
Shots
we
were
did
even,
have
but
one,
you
it
were
was
down.
one, if it was 0-0, I can't even remember now. If we played 2 more games since then. But we're down by a few and we're going into the third period and we're thinking there are chances. Like you're right, we were down. It was 0-3-0
I think it was 3-2,
because the
yeah.
first goal was scored in the third period by us and was scored by Nate Langley.
And not right away. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
no,
No, it was in. It was
6
in the
minutes in,
period.
yeah.
The point I'm making is this, is we're going in there kind of like, holy crap, like what's going on here right now? And that's not without chances. Like there were chances to score goals. And to be honest with you, it could have been 3-1 Rapids after the first period, but a goaltender for East was having a good period and a little snake bit from the Thunderhawks, couldn't find the back of the net. Second period, there was just some weird stuff that took place. Just couldn't get anything going. Coach was a little upset in between periods because we had to try and reel some guys back in and play some better hockey. And then we get into the third and it's, just feeling each other, the team's just feeling each other out a little bit. And then Nate Langley scores his first goal of his high school career, senior, kind of been on the fourth line most of the year and then finds his way in the lineup playing in the third line and pops his first one in. Got big congratulations to Nate for banging that one home, his first high school goal. And then he really gets the ball rolling. We see it. Thunderhawks get a power play shortly thereafter. Bauer Murphy pins one on the power play. It's now it's 3-2 and
the energy in the building.
It's an
starts picking
interesting
up.
hockey game. And this is literally, minutes into the third period when all of this stuff is happening. So it's not like it happened right away.
Right,
You had to get things going. But again, power play goal kind of gets things rolling here. And then the next 3 goals back to back to back, 3, 4, and 5 all scored the natural hat trick by Jake Garski. And it was some pretty nice hockey plays that were taking place. And you could see the energy in the building continue to climb, to climb. There was a decent crowd there. There had to be 3,500 to 4,000 in the building that night. And it was pretty electric. The electricity was there. Got a good goaltending effort out of sophomore goaltender Carter Casey. It was a nice night for him between the pipes. I think there was at least one there where he thought, that wasn't my favorite one to let in. I should have had that one back. The other 2 were kind of difficult saves for him to make. It's ones you can't really blame on the goaltender, but credit to the young goaltender for locking it down after 3 goals have been scored, saying, we're closing the door, and then bang, you go right off the rails and start popping pucks in, and it ends up as a 5-2 win. And it's a pretty, or a 5-3 win.
5-3 win.
5-3.
Yeah, 5-3.
Pretty big night to do that. And we talked about the importance of that game. We talked about, there's section seedings. Every game that we play either as a section team or as a common opponent that somebody else in our section plays. So we knew going into that game as a staff and as a team that if we want even anywhere near getting a 1, 2, or 3 seed, we've got to finish that game with a win. If we don't win and sweep East, now we're leaving the door open for a 4 seed because of a loss to Forest Lake. However, Forest Lake did beat Grand Rapids earlier in the year. It was an overtime game. And again, it was an interesting effort on both sides. We won't get into the excuses, but and lo and behold, they did get the win over the Thunderhawks. Shortly after, Duluth East plays Forest Lake and beats Forest Lake. So for us, on our standpoint, we're thinking we have to beat Duluth East twice to prove that that loss was a flop. So we did do that. It does put us in a position where it's going to be real tough to seed Grand Rapids outside of 3 seeds unless some really interesting things happen down the road here. And it's the dog days, you better show up to play every single game. There's some real big games coming up here in the future, and we'll preview a couple of them, but the big section games coming forward for the Thunderhawks are going to be the Andover game on February 2nd at Yanmar Arena. That's going to be a big game to see who's going to be 1 or 2 seed. Hopefully we'll be sitting in that position. that, you know, some other weird things don't happen down the road, but that's the expectation for the Thunderhawks, is to be the 1 or 2 seed. The one, obviously, they get to win over Andover. Andover's had some interesting things happen lately.
Oh.
They ended up barely squeaking a win over an Osseo team that they should clearly beat the crap out of. But then the next night coming out and playing a fantastic effort against the Maple Grove team, who's rated in the top 10, and they beat Maple Grove 1-0.
Oh, okay.
So you just never know with high school hockey. That's why you play the game, right? You play the game because, well, this team should beat that team and they should beat them. And you know what? Doesn't matter who should win, it matters who wins.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. And that's why you play the game. So there's some games that the Thunderhawks are staring down, looking at, and there's always a few teams that we're looking at out the side of our eye here in our peripheral vision, as far as coaching staffs. And we have to keep our eyes on what's going on with teams we don't play in the section, like Rock Ridge. How are they competing with other teams, so that we know what to expect here when playoffs hit? Because I get a weird feeling that there might be a matchup somewhere down the road when it comes to playoffs there.
Okay. And talk about I got a squeaker. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But and then it was also skate with the Thunderhawks after that game. Look, I saw a bunch of kids running onto the ice after Thursday night. So how that?
Yeah,
that
you know what? That's fun. It's you go into the game that night saying you got to skate with the Thunderhawks after this game. It's going to be a lot more fun to sign autographs and hang out with the little kids and see your parents out on the ice and take pictures and smile for all of that if you've got a big win that you just had. It's going to be real difficult to, you know, shake hands and kiss babies when you just got beat.
Yeah.
And so lo and behold, the win happened and it made it a lot more fun. And I think that's a real big piece to, you know, the other teams that do this too. Everybody does a skate with, you know, after with youth kids and with even high school kids come out there too and put their skates on, and parents come out and take pictures.
Yeah, lots of pictures.
It's such a community outreach piece that is a continue to build, and you know, organizations out there that are sponsoring these things, thanks to these people that do that. And there's little posters of our team picture that kids were having signed by the players, which is pretty awesome.
Nice. All right. So you're talking about the dog days. So we're going to talk a little bit about another season, and it is scholarship season. So pay attention here, seniors. Scholarship season is here. The Blandon Foundation is accepting applications for the scholarship program until March 1st. The Blandon Foundation scholarships offer support of $1,000 to $6,000 per year, seniors. Listen to this. Scholarship staff also can connect you with other resources to help you reach the finish line of your educational goals. Students can use Blandon Foundation scholarships for any type of school after high school, certificate programs, community, technical, or tribal college, and four-year colleges and universities. Students who have graduated or are graduating from an Itasca County school, including Black Duck, Northholm, Uganageeshig, Hill City, Northland Reamer, can apply. So can homeschool or online school students who would have graduated from one of those schools. Students can apply for a scholarship until they are 25 or have completed a bachelor's degree. So if you have taken some time off and want to return to school, you can still apply and receive support. You must reapply. Listen, now you must reapply for the scholarship each year you plan to attend school. You can apply in 3 easy steps. Get your FAFSA submission report, also known as a student aid report. Ask Blandon scholarship staff if you need help. Get your household 2022 tax form. Actually, I think they meet 2023 tax form because we're applying for 2024. And fill out the online application at blandonfoundation.org/scholarships. You can simply go down into the show notes and we've got the link there. You can click over. And like I said, applications are due March 1st, so don't delay. Great opportunity for the kids. They're giving out money. Go and grab that money.
Now's the time. That's that time of year here. And thanks to the Blandon Foundation for that opportunity for kids and other scholarships that are out there. If you're thinking about scholarship times, and applying, application season is right now, and people are writing letters of recommendation, teachers, coaches, you know, get that letter of recommendation dialed in there from the people that you want to represent you.
Absolutely. All right. Another game I caught on the week here. Last night I was at the hard court. As many of you know, my daughter plays basketball, so I actually spent a lot of time in gyms in the winter. But this one I caught kind of late. North Shore was over at the Snake Pit. I tuned in, it was 2-1 North Shore, and then Greenway, the Raiders take a 5-minute major, and North Shore gets one, put them up 3-1, and a nice individual effort later in the period by Aiden Althouse puts North Shore up 4-1. So they come out with the victory at the Snake Pit. Big win for that program.
Yeah, it's a big win. I don't know how often that has happened where North Shore, previously known as Silver Bay / Two Harbors, now combined. I don't know how many times that's happened where they've, beat up on a East Range team
Yeah.
or West Range team, I should say, West Range team like Greenway.
Right.
It's that's a program that's got a lot of pride, and the people over there in Coleraine, Taconite, Marble got a lot of pride in their organization and program. So be ready to see that program continue to fight and claw to get a program back, because they've been close before where a little bit down and out in dire straits. And guess what? There's people over there in that community that will knock on doors to get kids to play. They did it once. They've done it once before, and they'll do it again. They'll get that program back. That program is going to be back. Trust me.
All right. And then we also want to touch a little bit on number 2, Wayzata. Pay visit up to Yanmar here on Saturday. And let's face it, they're a good team. They're number 2 for a reason. And tied Minnetonka, what, a couple weeks ago?
It was a 1-1 game, Minnetonka and Wayzata. You know what? Wayzata is a number 1, number 2 team for a reason. They're right now, I think they're rated number 2, but it's a real close second to Minnetonka. They're good. They've got a squad, and you know what? I'm not going to sit here. I'm a coach and a competitor. So the last thing that I'm going to do is sit here and make excuses for things for kids and for programs. It doesn't help anybody. We play in the same class. So the expectation is, if you want to be at a high level and a state tournament level team, then you have to be able to beat teams like that. And it shouldn't matter what numbers look like. But you do have a student body of, 1,000, 1,500 more kids at the school that go there. It's a different area of the state where it's kind of west suburban, where the socioeconomic status is significantly different than it is in Grand Rapids. You've got 20 to 30 kids that they're cutting from their program that just get filtered into 2 to 3 different junior gold programs in the area. And if they don't make it as a sophomore or junior, they come back out and try out the next year. In a program like Grand Rapids, where you either don't cut because you don't have enough, or you only cut a few or a handful. And believe me, it's not fun to have to cut, but it's an interesting problem to have if you do have to cut, because now it makes it real for kids as far as competition to make teams. And that team, I think I talked to their JV coach before the game and said, I don't know how many did you guys have come out. It's always interesting when I hear talk to Edina and I talk to Edina and find out how many did you cut? Well, we cut like 35 kids, or we cut 25 kids. Well, Wayzata said they cut in the 20s.
Okay.
That's how many guys they cut. And for whatever reason, you sometimes have to cut seniors that are potential 4th line guys to upgrade for guys that are going to be sophomores and playing both JV and varsity. So at any rate, those are numbers you're talking about, but they're well coached. Pat O'Leary is a heck of a good coach. He's a former Gopher and a former national champion for the University of Minnesota. So
might have played with Surdy. We're just talking about Greenway, right?
I don't know how that kind of crossover happened there, but I know that O'Leary, I believe he played on that 02 team or the 03 team that won the national Division I national championship way back when. So he knows the game. He's been coaching for a long time. He did win a state championship with Wayzata back in 2016, the year before Grand Rapids won. So that program's been doing a lot of good things over the course of the last decade, and they're tough. They're tough to beat. I can't count too many times that I've seen outstate teams beat them or compete with them. But the expectation in Grand Rapids is that we do.
Sure.
So going into that game, it's like I said, the expectation is we need to play, and it didn't turn out the way the Thunderhawks wanted it to. It was a 6-2 loss for the Thunderhawks. But at any point in that game, if you were a spectator, you saw moments where it was a pretty evenly played game, where up and down the ice, the Thunderhawks are with them, and then it ends up, you make a mistake and bang, it's in the back of the net. And that's the difference between playing a Wayzata, who's number 2 in the state for AA teams, and playing somebody else that's maybe a single A and not rated, or AA, but at the bottom of the list of teams in the state. It's the difference between playing those two things. If you play Wayzata and you make a mistake, there's a 90% chance it's in the back of your net.
Right, sure.
You know, and I'm not going to say that there wasn't more than 6 mistakes, because there were some things, you know, I won't get into details because this is a team thing, but just watching film on that game here today, there's a lot of things that can be cleaned up.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that can be, but there were also some good things there too, where you prove to your team and your players that it's there. You're right there if we can clean some things up. But that's the difference. You play somebody like Wayzata and you make the mistakes that you make, it's going to be in the back of your net because they have 3 or 4 guys already in their top 6 forwards or top 9 forwards that are going to be Division I players.
Yeah, right.
Right. So that's
Well,
just the
and
way it works.
Like I said, I like to compete. I thought Rapids never, I mean, they never looked like they gave up or were disinterested or OMG, you know, I thought well, I mean, look at that third period when it was going up and down the ice there and it had some chances. You know,
Yeah.
right at the end there.
Well, and you feel kind of bad for a guy like Ryan Kerr, who's in the nets, is, you know, he's playing the number 2 team in the state, right? It's
Yeah.
you're matched up against shooters, and you know, you hope that every single night that when you're getting in the net that you're going to get the best effort you can from everybody in front of you. And it was off and on that night. There were some, like I said, there were some good things that were there for the Thunderhawks, and there were some not so good things that were there for the Thunderhawks, and lo and behold, it ended up with an L 6-2. The good news coming out of that is, after reviewing that game and watching that game, you come to the conclusion that there really are a lot of things that we can do better, and we can compete with that team if we clean some things up. So Rapids isn't out of the mix when it comes to playing top teams if things can get fixed and cleaned up.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk about one of those teams coming up here a little bit. All right. Smash the like button right now. We're going to get into the preview section presented by our friends over at Iron Range Apparel in the Thunderbird Mall in Virginia. That is the place you find the ODR line. We want to also send a big thank you out to them because they are the ones that did our shirts. Like I said, they turned out just fantastic. So the Gift Buyer's Paradise. So you're looking for that perfect gift for somebody. Head over there. Many Minnesota themed, you know, coffee cups, coasters. I mean, the store is full. It's plump full, and they've got, like I said, little trinkets. So you can, I mean, the budget shouldn't be an issue either. Like I said, you can find some little trinkets. Fill up a little box full of trinkets, or like I said, there's all kinds of shirts. The ODR line's got jerseys, you know, hoodies, t-shirts, you know, winter caps, baseball caps, the whole line. Look at the ODR hat there. So Iron Range Apparel over in the Thunderbird Mall, the Gift Buyer's Paradise. All right, so we're going to start out with the big 7A contest coming up here. Be next week, Tuesday. Chisholm-Hibbing visits Hermantown. We've talked a little bit about Hermantown's vulnerability this year. How do you see this one playing out?
You know, I think that there's going to be some interesting things to happen in that game. I don't have a for sure, I think this team's going to win, or I think this team's not going to win. All I can tell you is it's getting to the latter part of the season where, with a young team like Hibbing, at the beginning of the year, you can say there's a lot of youth on this team. You know, they're young. They're going to have to grow into this. It's now January 10th. You no longer have sophomores on your team.
Right.
They're not rookies anymore. They are veterans. They've been on the team for a half a season. You got young sophomores in the lineup. You have a freshman in the lineup who's actually at the top of, not the very top. I don't know if it's close to leading their team in points, but is there right there in Jackson Strukel. I mean, you got young guys that are now playing like veterans, and they need to be. So that can't be an excuse for Hibbing anymore. Well, we're young. Well, not anymore, because you're halfway into the season. Okay. But I really like some of the things that I even saw from them the first game of the year when they came here. Like that team is going to be scary come February, and they may not seem like they're there yet against older, maybe more experienced, tougher scheduled Hermantown team.
Sure.
They kind of came to life here this week after almost dumping one to Proctor last week.
Yeah.
They came to life. They came out and beat Eden Prairie. They beat Rock Ridge. They didn't just beat Rock Ridge. They put a thumping on the scoreboard. It was 6-1, right?
Yeah. And Rock Ridge had a 5-on-3 at one point.
Yeah. And then it was Eden Prairie was, I think it was like a 6-5 or a 5-4. It was a 1-goal game win, but they beat a top AA team.
Right.
So they might be kind of getting into their groove with part of the season. I mean, maybe it's one of those things with Proctor that it was a emotional game on both sides, and you just sometimes those emotional games, weird things happen.
Yeah.
They do.
Oh, absolutely.
So Hermantown is starting to hit their mid-season stride
Yeah.
right now, which they do because they've got the history of having some experience going into the playoffs and having success in winning section championships. I do think that Hibbing is going to compete with them.
Okay.
I really do. I think it's going to be a tough sell. If you want to sell it to me tomorrow that Hibbing is going to beat them in January, I think it's going to be a tough sell. If Hibbing is going to want to compete and do the best they can to win, I think that's going to be a easier sell come February that Hibbing is going to be more competitive with them. But I think that it's going to be a good game.
Okay. Yeah,
I really do.
I just did a quick glance at, speaking of the young people, the goal leader in Hibbing, sophomore, Elsner, assist leader, sophomore, Swanson, point leader, sophomore, Swanson, and the top goalie, at least statistically, is Gavin Lamphere. So all sophomores. So the youth is, like you said, I remember my junior coach saying the same thing. He's like, okay, we're after Christmas. There's no rookies on this team anymore.
Yeah.
There's,
Once you hit the dog days, it's
Yeah.
not, you don't have rookies anymore because, there's all the teams are struggling with illness right now. They're struggling with injuries right now. Everybody's dealing with it. You could use that as an excuse. Every team could use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
But once you hit those dog days, everybody's a veteran now. That's just the way it works.
All right. So last Saturday was Wayzata here at Yanmar. This week at Yanmar, it's not going to get any easier. The Moorhead Spuds are coming to town. It's going to be a celebration of Orange. I remember in 2017, my son was playing Square Days. So the Square Days came. We played a morning game.
Yep.
PBAA's played. There were like buses all over in that parking.
Oh, yeah.
Bantam AA's played. Afternoon Thunderhawk game, which ended up being the, preview of the state championship game that year. And then the AA's played again. The PBAA's played again. And then the Square Days played again.
Sure,
So it was a sea of orange. Oh, it was a sea of orange.
That's a well-scheduled day at
Yeah.
the IRA that day. That's pretty well done there. I'm not sure who was in charge of that, but that's pretty cool. And it was a sea of orange then at the end of the year in the previous state tournament. I've never seen the XL Energy Center look so good as when it did in 17, when it's Moorhead on one side and Grand Rapids on the other, and everything is orange and black. It was a thing of beauty. And the good news is the right team won.
Yeah.
Let's hope that that's the way things work here Saturday that's a big matchup and it's a common opponent. There's a lot of things going on in Section 8 right now, and it's really kind of hard to figure out who's seated where with Roseau or with Moorhead, with a couple of the other teams that are bounced around, Bemidji.
Yeah.
There's a lot of iffy stuff, and I don't even want to get into it. Where do you think they fit? Are they I'll tell you this much. Moorhead is going to be somewhere in the top of the top seeds at the end of the year. They just are.
Yeah.
They are every year. So expect it. And this is I don't want to call it a rivalry game, but it's always a really intense game between Grand Rapids and Moorhead. It always is, regardless of how good or how not so good teams are. I can tell you that the seniors that are playing in these games right now, when I coached these seniors as Bantam AA's a few years back, the Kyler Millers, the Bauer Murphys, we went out to Moorhead and played Moorhead at the Collins Center and beat them 3-2 with this group of seniors that's there. Later on in the year, they played us. They came over here and they beat us. So it was a split with that group of players. So, now you can add into the mix the Bantam group that this group never played with coming up. That was second year Pee-wees when they were second year Bantams, and same thing with Moorhead. There's always that addition. Who's got the addition, the better depth that came in from behind you that you never got to play with. And this is going to be a really interesting game. I think it is. And like I said, there's teams that are dealing with guys that are sick, guys that are injured. Moorhead's dealing with it. Grand Rapids is dealing with it. Everybody's dealing with it. And it's a next guy up mentality. People miss guys that are dinged up and that are sick. We miss you. We love you. But guess what? There's got to be another guy ready to go. And I think depth will come out in this one, and both teams are gonna be ready to go. No idea, like we said, we've been dealing with this all year long. It was pretty cool, and we'll touch on this, but we've been able to play 3 goalies with Grand Rapids. Ryder Miskovich played last night over in Superior and ended up getting the win. And Ryan Kerr played against Wayzata. Carter Casey played against Duluth East. So no idea who's going to play yet. We haven't made that decision as a staff. We'll make that decision the day before we end up lining up against Moorhead.
Okay, all right. So if you're got some time Saturday afternoon, Yanmar Arena, and then I'm going to check out a game Friday night over at the Snake Pit. Mount Westonka, a buddy of mine, helps coach over there. So Mount Westonka is going to come up there and they're going to run over to Rock Ridge on Saturday. But Mount Westonka, Greenway, Friday night. If you're looking for someone to watch, JJ Shervin on Mount Westonka, number 6. He's got some game. So check him out if you're over there. And then one more big one in single A hockey this weekend down in Hermantown, number 1 Hermantown and number 2 Warroad face off, I think 3:00 on Saturday afternoon.
I actually think I saw, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you can look at it and maybe it's in different rankings, but I actually saw those 2 flipped today.
Oh,
on a different ranking.
okay. I was hockey up there.
Yeah, I think I looked at I tend to go on the Instagram machine and I'll check out the rankings that Minnesota Hockey TV has on there.
Oh, yeah,
too.
sure.
I think Minnesota Hockey TV had the newest one is World was number 1.
Ah, interesting.
And Hermantown was number 2. But I don't know how long it's gonna happen. There was a big
Right.
rivalry game that happened last night.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Those
Yeah.
are Warroad.
Yeah.
Those are good to win.
In overtime,
In
3-2.
overtime, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like the game. Hey, by the way, Warroad Rosewood people, I know you guys are just getting internet up there, but let's get the game streamed. I'd really like to watch that.
Yeah,
So I
how
know
do
the
we
internet's a
not
new
get
thing.
that game up?
Yeah, how do we not get that one? So going forward, Marvin's will pay the bill. So figure out a way,
Yeah.
get that baby streamed, because we'd all love to watch it. And but yeah, congrats to Rose on the 3-2 overtime win there. All right, so we'll move on to scores and more. Present or anything more on it.
The only other thing that I'll mention is that there will be another game here that's gonna be taking place tomorrow night. Down at Duluth Marshall. Duluth Marshall and Cloquet are gonna face off at the Mars Lakeview Arena, and we will have that on My 9.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So be ready to catch Bob and I if you're bored tomorrow night, or even if you're not bored and you want to make it a date night with a wife or a husband that is a hockey fan. Sit down, stream it, pull up My
Blanket, it's gonna be
9.
cold. We're getting
Yeah.
that cold weather's moving in. Might as
Yeah.
well snuggle.
Pull it up, get it on the television. You get it on My 9, or you can pull it up on the Northern News Now live stream and get it up there and be able to watch Bob and I call that game. And that's gonna be fun to call that one out because I think that's gonna be a little bit of a battle.
I think so too. Yeah.
You know, it's Marshall still staying at their AA, but Cloquet going down to single A, and Cloquet has had, you know, some interesting games here the last couple of
Yeah,
days.
We'll
There was a close one against Superior.
Yeah.
There's been some other ones, so.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute here. They definitely interesting. All right, scores and more. Presented by Aspire Heating and Control, your local Bryant dealer, and Bryant is the official heating and cooling company of your Minnesota Wild. Aspire specializes in gas, electric, and hydronic heating and cooling systems for existing and new construction, residential and commercial installations available. Services include forced air systems, boilers, heat pumps, mini splits. They are licensed and bonded. So give Justin a call, 999-5957. Like I said, I think I saw 15 below and 15 below getting into early next week. So if the furnace is having trouble now, or if it's having trouble a few days from now, Justin is the guy to call. Aspire Heating and Control, 999-5957. All right, I saw, speaking of the Instagram machine, I was on the Facebook machine, I believe this was last week, but last week the Bemidji Lumberjack girls downed Warroad to end a 17-year, 31-game winless drought. Pretty impressive. So congrats on Lumberjack ladies, but more so it got me thinking, and excuse my French here, but gosh, Warroad, that little town, they just keep kicking ass and taking names. I mean, that little town just, I mean, look at the stat. I mean, and 2 NHLers. Now Gigi's back playing in the professional league for the women, I see too,
Mhm.
right? So, as always, like a congrats to Warroad for I mean, they just keep pumping it out. I mean, what can you say? I mean, a town of what, 2,000, 2,500?
Yep, a small town and a program with some history.
Coach Randolph, guy you know, 700th win over the weekend with St. Thomas Academy.
Ran is, he is one of the best hockey minds that I've ever conversed with. And I feel like the guy that I get to work with every day is a hell of a hockey mind. And it's pretty cool because I get talk with Grant every single day, and Grant goes to some of the people that he talks to every single day to get advice and information. And Rand is one of those
Oh, is
guys.
it? Okay.
Yeah, he's a great mentor to a lot of I would say young coaches, but Grant and I aren't young coaches anymore either. It's, this guy has been coaching for, it seems like, for eons.
Yeah, it was
And I think he's number 3 on the list of all-time winningest coaches. I think the former coach from Rochester Mayo is ahead of him, and I still think the former coach at Albert Lee, Roy Nystrom, is still ahead of him,
really?
just by a few.
Okay.
There's only a few there. He'll break that record next year. He'll be number 1 next year.
Wow. Okay.
But Mike Randolph, congratulations, man. I got the most, as much as I hated playing against your teams when I was playing, I can't think of a better coach that has coached high school hockey, and I would put him categories of coaches that have won numerous state championships. He's got 2 state championships now, a 95 and 98, I believe, are the 2 that he's got. There's some that are coming with St. Thomas Academy with him at the helm. I'm telling you right now. And but he's in the same conversation with coaches that have a number of state championships, like the Willard Eichelas, these, I mean, he's right at the top of man. He's one of the best high school hockey coaches I've ever seen.
Sure.
Ever.
Well, I did a little searching on him. I did not realize, I think it's the same Mike Randolph, because I just didn't know. He played on the 76 Olympic team. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay,
that
that's
sounds
right. Yeah. So, congrats to Mike. Lou Nanny. Everyone knows 612 Lou up here. So Lou says the last state tournament will be here in 2024. He announced that. I don't know if you saw that. This is it. So there'll be a spot opened up for Coach Reed Larson in 2025 at the Minnesota State High School Hockey
I'm
Tournament.
thinking they probably got someone else lined up, but guess what? If you need a guy,
Here's your guy.
go ahead, give me a
Here's your guy.
call. If you don't, I'm not going to be butthurt. But I'll tell you what, it sure would be fun to sit there, but to follow that guy, as much as us up in the 218 area get really frustrated listening to 612 Lou, man, is he a staple?
Yeah, oh yeah,
in
that
state
voice,
tournament.
right.
It just listening to him cover these games and talk about these games and be the guy that he is, analyzing. Whoever has to step into that job after him, good luck.
Yeah, it'll be different. Just like the guy for the Twins.
Yeah.
I still hear that voice. Like, I'm not a baseball guy at all, but if I go by somewhere and I hear it, I'll stop and listen just for a minute, because it's the same guy.
Yeah.
1991 World Series. I think the 87. I don't know. Ever since I was a teenager, it's that same voice. It's soothing in the summer.
Well, maybe it's going to be some of the guys that call and analyze the single A games.
Yeah.
Right? There's some other Minnesota guys that are in there. He's usually doing the evening games and calling those, especially the double A games. So, there'll be somebody that steps in there, and maybe I'll get the call. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna start campaigning for you. All right. And of course, the World Juniors, Team USA takes her home. Congratulations to them. I don't know if you got to catch any of that.
I didn't get to watch any of it. At the times of those World Junior Championships, when it's way over in Sweden, it's tough to catch. You're working during the day when some of these games are playing, and it's, early in the morning to get up and watch it if they're playing an afternoon game. So I literally did not get to watch any of it, but it was pretty cool to see the US team win the gold and knock off the hometown heroes, Sweden, in their own country, and pretty cool.
Yeah, and I believe I heard Sweden was up 2-1 early.
Yeah, they were up early, and then they came back to battle, and it's always fun to talk about USA when they're winning.
Yeah, so congratulations to all those.
And it's always fun too for all of my Canadian friends when I can say, what happened?
Yeah, what? Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened. No more Connor Bedard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, but Bedard was sitting in Chicago, so big advantage to everybody else. All right, so here's some scores from last week. Bemidji 3-2 over Alex. 11-4 lead Timberwolves win again, 6-2 over Ashland, Wisconsin. We talked about Roseau topping Warwood 3-2 in overtime. Denfeld with a 2-1 win over Cambridge. You mentioned, we were talking about Cloquet a little bit. Schlacked by the Brainerd Warriors 7-0. So we were talking about them like 2 weeks ago, how they quietly entered the top 10 in the single A rankings. Booted now, and guess who emerges in the top 10?
Proctor.
When's the last time, if someone knows this, when's the last time Proctor's been ranked in the top 10 in the States?
I don't know. It's been a long time, man.
So congrats to the Rails. Good for you. Speaking of Proctor, so like I said, they had the big overtime win or overtime loss with Hermantown. So they go up to Bronco Arena in the Falls, squeak out a 3-1 win. So kind of a big game for the Broncos there, keeping it close. Duluth Marshall, 4-1 over Rochester Lords. Yeah, Hermantown, you mentioned the
Rochester Lords with good buddies. The head coach is Rochester Lords. That's Jeff True, former Thunderhawk. Graduated
Really?
from Grand Rapids
Okay,
High
I knew
School.
the
Yep.
coach
He
before.
used to be the girls' coach at Rochester Lords for a few years, and then when the head coaching job opened up for boys, he applied for that job. So Jeff does have a place up here in the summertime. See him out on the lake every so often. He's
no
got
kidding.
a place on Little G.O.A.T, so it's nice to see him playing some games. Rochester Lords.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe the coach before him was Josh Spaniel. I knew him.
Yeah,
Good,
Spaniel.
real
Spaniel.
good buddy
Yep.
of the TJ.
Anyways,
Thomas.
Marshall gets the win over them. And
Yeah. So Duluth East dropped by Chanhassen 6-rip. Rock Ridge with the win over Princeton 5-2. Chisholm Hibbing dropped by Little Falls 4-2. And the Walleye Scott CFP Dyna Hornets update. Another win. 9-3 over Holy Family over the weekend. So the Hornets continue to roll.
this is roll time of the year for those guys. It is.
All right. Anything to add to episode 75?
We're at 75 already.
75. Yeah, we're 3/4 of a century. So before you
Okay.
blink, it'll be 100.
We're gonna have to have a nice little party after 100.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Go to the Ring Sports Bar and Grill.
Ah,
breakout rooms.
hey.
Do it right there.
Okay.
All right. Please comment. We appreciate that. If you want to contact us privately, goatsportsmediallc@gmail.com. Said hammer the follow button, hammer the like button. We'd appreciate that. Find us, Tea with Ms. McGill, on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Musi app. T McGill on Twitter or X, whatever they're calling it now.
Whatever they're calling it this week.
Yeah, exactly. Facebook and YouTube. It's Goat Sports Media LLC. Like I said, leave a review on Facebook. We'd appreciate that. Merch. So the new merch is in, as you can see. $20 for a t-shirt, $45 for a hoodie. That's the hoodie here. Like I said, Cash App, Venmo, all that good stuff. Like I said, I sent out like 2 weeks ago, we sent out to Montana, got them taken care of. And again, just a big thanks to Iron Range Apparel for doing such a great job. And a big thank you to all of our partners, the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, Blandon Foundation, Iron Range Apparel, and ODR Apparel, Fortune Bay Resort and Casino, Aspire Heating and Control, Iron Range Goalie Academy, and Team Minnesota Hockey. For Reed Larson, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the Tea with Ms. McGill Show.